Welcome to Newsline, your trusted source for global news, bringing clarity to the stories shaping our world. The European Union's envoy to Syria is on their way to Damascus to hold talks with the country's new leadership, announced the EU's new High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Kaja Kallas. The visit marks a significant diplomatic effort by the EU to engage with the evolving political situation in Syria. The developments in Syria are among the key topics on the agenda as EU foreign ministers convene for discussions in Brussels. The meeting aims to address not only the immediate challenges in Syria, but also broader regional stability and humanitarian concerns. The EU has reiterated its commitment to supporting a peaceful resolution to the conflict and advancing dialogue with all stakeholders. Slovak President Peter Pellegrini has called for realism in discussions about the conditions for peace in Russia's war against Ukraine, suggesting that Ukraine must come to terms with losing parts of its territory. Today, I believe no clear-thinking individual in Europe assumes that peace can be achieved without Ukraine losing parts of its territory, Pellegrini stated in an interview with the Slovak public broadcaster STVR over the weekend, according to the Ukrainian outlet Kyiv Independent. Pellegrini, who was elected president earlier this year, has been described by outlets like the BBC as a pro-Russian populist, aligning closely with Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. Fico has been openly critical of military aid to Ukraine and sanctions against Russian interests, positioning himself alongside Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán on these issues within the EU. Pellegrini has also made it clear that he opposes extending an invitation for Ukraine to join NATO, further highlighting his stance on the ongoing conflict and Ukraine's future in the international community. The UN's Special Envoy to Syria, Norwegian diplomat Geir Pedersen, has met with Syria's new leadership. On Sunday evening in Damascus, Pedersen held talks with Ahmed al-Sharaa, the leader of the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani. Ahead of the meeting, Pedersen expressed hope that Western sanctions on Syria could be lifted to enable the country's reconstruction. Hopefully, there will be a swift end to the sanctions so that we can see a collective effort to rebuild Syria, Pedersen said upon his arrival in Damascus. However, the envoy emphasized that this would require the new leadership to include all Syrians. Syria, devastated by years of conflict, is home to a diverse population. HTS, which has its roots in jihadism, has previously been designated as a terrorist organization by countries including the United States. We need to kickstart the political process, and it must, of course, be led by the Syrians themselves, Pedersen added. The civil war, which has been raging since 2011, has claimed more than 500,000 lives and forced millions to flee their homes. Western nations, including the United States and the EU, imposed extensive sanctions on Syria, effectively isolating Bashar al-Assad's regime. Donald Trump's tariff threats signal higher prices ahead, prompting hoarding behavior that may already be fueling a new wave of inflation. The incoming US president has made a point of introducing steep tariffs on foreign imports. Regardless of whether these tariffs are set at 10%, 20%, or even 60%, they will inevitably result in higher prices for imported goods, costs that American consumers will have to bear. Thousands of Americans are taking his threats seriously. Many are rushing to make significant purchases in anticipation of 2025, when they expect prices to rise. According to a monthly survey conducted by the University of Michigan, 1 in 4 Americans now believes it's the right time to buy in bulk, up from 1 in 10 just a month ago. Similarly, a survey by creditcards.com involving 2,000 respondents revealed that 1/3 of Americans are currently shopping more due to concerns over tariffs. The fear of future price hikes and acting on it by increasing consumption could drive inflation higher even now. Retailers and manufacturers, too, are preparing for the impact of steeper import costs by preemptively raising prices, warns Paul Ashworth, chief North America economist at Capital Economics. Expectations about where prices are headed influence decisions on pricing and wage demands, he told the Wall Street Journal. The latest U.S. inflation figures, released on Wednesday, December 11th, showed a slight increase in the annual inflation rate to 2.7% in November, following a monthly rise of 0.3%. Thank you for joining us on Newsline. Stay informed, stay empowered, and we'll see you next time.